Hey everyone, welcome to my first attempt at YouTube. Today we'll be looking at how to create very simple React applications through a package called Create React App. This is a package created by the Facebook team, the React team itself. And what this allows us to do is have an app up and running along with some boilerplate code through which you can just kind of have that app and then start making modifications. In order to create this kind of an application, you will need an npm package called Create React App. In order to install that, you can install it similar to how you would do for any particular package. So you can just go ahead and do Create React App. In my system, it is already installed, so it will just check for a new version. And if it does not find that, it will just kind of add a new version for that, and it will exit. Now, in order to create the application, what I will do is I'll execute the executor command of npm, and I will just go ahead and do create React app. I'll name my app, so I can just call it my app, and I'll use something called templates. What template allows us to do is effectively specify certain settings and certain languages which I would want my application to be configured in before creating the application itself. So in this case, for example, if I want my application to be written in TypeScript rather than JavaScript, I can specify this over here to save me the overhead of actually creating and modifying all those files separately later. So I'll go ahead and create that. Now this will take a couple of minutes. Reason for that is because it needs to install and download and install a lot of packages, which it needs to generate all the boilerplate code in the background. What we'll do in the meantime is we can cover where this comes from. So Create React App has its own website itself, and I will have all of these links down in the description below, so you can go through them. And I'll highly recommend to actually follow some of the tutorials in order to help modify the application as you like. There are a lot of examples. They have also explained and kind of given alternatives if you want to just execute the same command in a different way. In terms of template, like I just explained, it supports a lot of different things, not just languages. You can actually add, in terms of a template name, something else as well. If you have different custom templates as well, it supports that. You can also select a different package manager. So Create React App by default uses Yarn, one of the package managers. But if you would prefer a different package manager like npm, you can actually go ahead and specify that while creating the application itself. This is a step which you can do later. So, I mean, you don't need to worry about a lot about this right at the start. But if you want to, you can specify it at that time. It will download and set up all the packages and have our app configured somewhere like this. If we go back to our application, it is downloading the packages. There is a default Create React App page as well in reactjs.org, and the tutorials and the docs for this are some of the best tutorials that I've actually read. So you can actually go through this. What is a tool chain? Why do we need it? And all the details, along with some of the other frameworks, how it supports that in an integrated manner. It specifies all of that. There are a couple of guides as well, so you can actually go through them and learn different steps of React, which we'll be covering in future videos as well. Now, if you see, while it is downloading the packages, it has created an app for me, and it is configuring the different kind of links within the node modules. It has also specified a Git repository. So if you can see in my Git changes, actually I can see a lot of the changes over here. I hope I can see those. All right. So it has specified an empty Git repository, and it has specified all the files. Now, if you can see over here, all the files are in the TypeScript extensions. So this, instead of a JSX, is a TSX. The app.tsx is one of the default files which will be required, where all these by default things will be there. And as you can see while configuring, it has mentioned a couple of default commands like yarn start will start the application, build, test, eject, and things like that. You don't need to remember these. We have package.json, and we will cover package.json in a completely separate video because this is by far one of the most important files for any kind of a node project. The scripts over here specify what commands as of now this application supports. So if I go ahead and do a yarn start, I'll go into the folder and do a yarn start. It'll take a minute to start up the development server, and then we will be able to just navigate to the application which we have just now created. There are a couple of extra files over here. For example, index.tsx, we have HTML, index.html and things like that, which we will be covering in separate videos. And we'll also cover about the nitty-gritties. For example, why is the document.getElementById root over here? How does it link to a specific div with the ID root over here, and how does the application start? For more experienced people, of course, all of this is pretty straightforward. But to start with, these concepts become really important to understand how they work. Also, a couple of test cases. How do the tests work, and how they are rendered in React? How do they use jest in the background to kind of render the tests? We'll be covering that. Now, if you can see, the development server is up and running, and this is the React application. Now you can actually go ahead and modify this code and keep rendering it as you would like. React also supports hot reload. So if you would like, it's not necessary that you stop and rebuild every time you need to kind of make any changes and render it. You can just keep on changing and save it, and the live reload happens in the browser, and you can see your changes. That's it for today.